Good morning, and guess what? It is January 3rd, 2022. It is a new year, and here I am with my Dunkin' Donuts coffee once again to kick off the year. As I always do every day, love Dunkin' Donuts coffee. But you know what I like more? I like New York City coffee car coffee the best. By far, it is the best coffee in America. So what are we talking about today, right? Like I said, today is January 3rd, 2022, and it starts the new year. And so here are the things you need to know. The slate gets wiped clean, right? At the beginning of the new year, everything gets reset to zero. There's going to be lots to consider in the new year. Much of it is going to be centered around the Fed, and the midterm elections will be a constant theme for investors. Also, CPI and PPI, right? Are they going to continue to run hot? And if they do, what is that going to say to the Fed? Oil, after having the best year in a long time, is set to advance again in 2022 as the global economy awakens. I think the theme in 2022 is going to be more about value stocks, dividend payers, and capital protection. And so what are we having for dinner tonight? We're going to have the Bolognese, right? Yesterday I made this. I put some pictures up on Twitter. I was asked for the recipe, so today I'm giving it to you. So good morning and Happy New Year. By now, you know, stocks had another stellar year in 2021, right? The Dow gained 22%, the S&P up 27%, the NASDAQ ahead by 24%, the Russell added 17%, and the transport stole the show, rising a whopping 34%. And if you look at it by sectors and themes, I'll put it in performance order. Energy had the best year in years, gaining close to 50%. Real estate up 47%. You can thank the Fed and interest rates. Tech up 38%. Financials up 35%. Consumer discretionary up 29%. Healthcare up 29%. Basic materials up 26%. Industrials up 23%. Communications up 18%. Consumer staples up 16%. Those are value. And utilities up 16%. The value trade gained 24%, while growth gained 35%. Semiconductors rose by 46%. Airlines ended the year flat. Retail added 44%. Home builders gained 53%. Tech disruptors lost 20%. Robotics and artificial intelligence gained 10%. Cybersecurity stocks rose 10%. Autonomous and electric vehicle technology rose 30%. Work from home stocks rose by a measly 14%. And cryptos had another great year with names like Bitcoin and Ethereum gaining 65% and 400% respectively. And we welcomed in a bevy of new coin opportunities like Chainlink and Avalanche, to name just two, but you can find so many more in any of the crypto exchanges. But remember, when it comes to this new asset class, caution is always the word. Investors should consider some exposure to the class, but not any more than you're willing to lose. My sense is like a 3 to 5% allocation feels about right. But in the end, you're in the driver's seat, and so much depends on so many other factors, like who you are, where you are in the life cycle, where are you on the risk scale. All things to consider, as well as certainly understanding the differences amongst the coins. 10-year treasuries ended 2021 yielding 1.5%, well below the 2+% that we all assumed was going to happen, and it's currently churning right there this morning. Oil ended the year at $75.45, up about 60% from where it began the year, and this morning it's on fire again, gaining $1 or 1.4%, trading at $76.25. Targets for oil this year range from $80 to $120, so that is going to be a sector to watch. Gold ended the year at $18.28, and this morning that was down 7% on the year, and this morning it's under a little bit of pressure, down $2 at $18.26. Inflation became a bigger problem in 2021 and is expected to remain a problem in 2022. And what started out at an inflation rate of 1.4% annualized ended with a 6.8% annualized, the highest in more than 40 years. Right? We're going to get the next CPI reading on January 12th, so the markets are going to awake. Consumers saw prices skyrocket in the most basic sectors: food, clothing, energy, staples, and housing, seeing massive spikes in prices. This morning, Bloomberg reports that Joey is set to fight the meat packers and the meat industry over rising consumer prices, implying that they are taking advantage of the global pandemic. His administration coining a new phrase, pandemic profiteering, which I assume he's going to use to attack other industry groups as well. The Fed continued to make headlines, remaining low-key and supposedly in control for most of the year, telling us, don't worry, inflation was nothing but transitory. They had it under control. And then suddenly the narrative started to change as the monthly CPI and PPI reports challenged that thinking. By the end of the year, we had Jay and many of his peers telling us that the word transitory was misunderstood by so many, so they were dropping it from the dictionary, announcing instead that tapering would take on a more aggressive schedule and that interest rates might move up sooner than expected. A story I still think is misrepresented because I think the Fed is behind the 8 ball rather than in front of it, and that is going to force them to react more aggressively. Something I don't think the markets or investors fully appreciate yet, which is why I think when this starts to happen, I think it's going to happen early in the season, that we're going to hit some road bumps here in January, February, March. And the fight goes on over the Build Back Better plan put forth by the Bidens, right? It failed in 2021. And the question now is, will the Democrats continue to push it in 2022, or will they back off as the focus now turns to the midterm elections only 11 months away, where there is expected to be some major shifts in representations, and so therefore the fight is on. In terms of other elections, the world is going to witness a change across the European continent, with Germany already in new hands. France is up next in the spring, and the Italians are going to wonder what Mario Draghi's next steps will be. And that does have some investors speculating on those outcomes and then what that will mean for the investing landscape. But remember, while politics is a sideshow, they usually do not price stocks in the long term, but the chaos created in the short term is the opportunity. So pay close attention. Next up, we have to consider the geopolitical stuff. What's going on in China? What does Xi have up his sleeve in 2022? Will Taiwan become the center of an international drama? Remember, he succeeded in taking back Hong Kong, so Taiwan will be something to watch because this has much bigger implications on the global economy and the semiconductor supply chain. And having China in control of that sector of the global economy is a dangerous place to be. And if that happens, we only have ourselves to blame. Toss in Vlad in the Mideast and the geopolitical situation becomes even hotter, leaving many to wonder, how will Joey respond? And the pandemic, that's now turned into an endemic, as most investors and most Americans and really people around the world are learning to live with it. We are in the 3rd mutation and expect a 4th, 5th, and even a 6th as the world turns and as companies consider how to reopen and how to keep everybody as safe as possible. But I think we're going to have to learn to live with, this endemic, and the hysteria has to start to calm down and life has to get back to normal. This morning, U.S. futures are up, and we look to kick off the new year. Dow up 200, the S&P's up 32, the Nasdaq ahead by 125, the Russell's up 21. And this is exciting as the buying continues. It's a big week for economic data. Today includes the market U.S. manufacturing PMI expected to be 57.7. That's bullish. Construction spending expected to be up 0.7%. Later in the week, we're going to get ISM manufacturing 60.2, bullish. JOLTS job openings of more than 11 million. ADP employment of plus 360,000 new jobs. Market U.S. services PMI of 57.5, bullish. On Wednesday, we're going to get the latest FOMC minutes, which should not be a surprise to anyone who's been listening. On Thursday, we're going to hear from none other than St. Louis Fed President Jimmy B. Remember, he's an aggressive hawk and is now a voting member of the FOMC committee. So expect investors to listen intently to his thoughts. Factory orders will come out at 1.5%, ISM services index of 67. That's very strong. And Friday brings us the all-important non-farm payroll for December. Expectations of plus 400,000 new jobs is what the market's expecting. Recall that the November report was a massive disappointment, so we're looking forward to see what December brings. Unemployment is expected to fall to 4.1%, while the labor force participation rate is expected to remain at 61.9. European markets this morning are all in the green. The UK and Ireland are closed for the holiday, but the other centers are ahead, all by better than 1%. Right? It's a new year, and like I said, all the indexes, ETFs, and stocks start all over again, right? Everything gets wiped clean. Everyone starts from zero. The S&P begins the year at 4766. Another 25% gain would take us all the way to 5960 by year end. Most of the estimates have us returning between a 10 to 20% for the index, which would be somewhere between 54 and 5,700 on the S&P. And while there are some bears in the crowd that are looking for a negative return, they are few and far between. If we follow Europe today, then look for the indexes to kick off the year by adding about 1% today, right? And so we're off. Remember, investing is dynamic. It's not static. It requires you to pay attention. Text the word invest to 21,000 on your phone. You can get my digital business card. You can download it right into your phone. Feel free to send me off an email or a text message. You can also call me because I'm always happy to talk about markets, planning, thoughts, concerns, or ideas. Remember, you can follow me on Twitter and TikTok at Kenny Polcari, and you can get me on Instagram at KennyP1961. Okay, so I'm giving you this rigatoni in a Bolognese sauce because I made it yesterday morning and I was posting pictures and one of my Twitter followers asked me for this complete recipe. And while I tried to put it on Twitter in 3 or 4 different posts, I'm going to give it to you here right now. So what exactly is it? It's a meat-based, thick, hearty sauce for pasta originated in Bologna, thus Bolognese. Bologna is the largest city in the region of Emilia-Romagna in northern Italy and is the 7th largest city in all of Italy. It's very cosmopolitan. It's rich in art, history, music, culture, and food. It's also the home to many of Italy's finest universities. The sauce has numerous variations, but no matter how you make it, you really can't go wrong if you stick to the basics. So for this, you need 1.5 pounds of ground beef, but you need like ground chuck, 80-20, right? 80% lean, 20% fat. You want 3 cans of plum tomatoes, not puree. You need 2 chicken thighs, skin on, fresh basil, whole milk, olive oil, salt and pepper, onions, shredded carrots, and garlic. Now begin by browning the meat in your pot with a little bit of olive oil. Season it with salt and pepper. Once it's all brown, remove it and just set it aside in a plate. Next to that same pan, add a little bit more olive oil, saute the sliced garlic in a little bit, just over medium heat till, a couple of minutes. Now add in the sliced onions and the shredded carrots, stir and cover it, allow it to cook through and soften up, stirring every 5 minutes or so. Maybe you're gonna do that for 10 minutes, right? Once the veggies have softened a little bit, add in the 2 chicken thighs. Brown nicely on both sides. So maybe it's another 10 or 12 minutes by the time you cook them on both sides. Season with salt and pepper. And then once they're done, take those out, set them aside with the beef. Now, run the plum tomatoes through a blender quickly because you want some chunky to be left in them, right? You don't want it to liquefy. You want it to be a little bit hearty. Add this to the pot, bring it to a boil, reduce the heat to simmer. Now season it with some fresh chopped basil and salt and pepper and a pinch of sugar. Once that's all done, now add the meat back to the pot, right? Including the chicken, but now remove the skin from the chicken before you put it back in the pot. Leave it on simmer. Now let this stir it, get it all nice and mixed. Let this simmer for about 45 minutes. Stirring it constantly every 5 minutes. So just go back and turn it. And then turn off the heat. Let it cool for about 10 minutes and then add in a 1/2 cup of whole milk. Or if you don't have that, 1/2 and 1/2 works nicely too. Taste it and season it, adjust if necessary. Now, bring a big pot of salted water to a boil, add the rigatoni pasta, cook it until al dente, 8 to 10 minutes. You know how to do that. You strain it, remove a mugful of the water so you have it to remoisten. Drain the pasta, return it to the pot, add a little bit of water back just to remoisten it. Don't let it be puddled. Give the pasta a chance to soak it up. Now add in a couple of ladles of the sauce, mix it really well so that you coat all the pasta. Now when you serve it in warm bowls, add a ladle of the Bolognese sauce right on top, and then sprinkle it with fresh grated Parmigiana cheese. Always putting the cheese on your table for your guests in case they want more, because you know me, I can never have enough fresh grated Parmigiana cheese on my pasta. In any event, it is a gorgeous day here to begin the year 2022 in South Florida. As you know, you look out the window, you see the sun is starting to just come up now. It's going to be a gorgeous day, and let's hope that it's going to be a really, really good market to kick off the year. In any event, you take good care, and I'll see you in the morning.